Hey, everybody, what's up? It's your girl, Constance Carter, and this is Fly Nubian Money, where we help you to master your mindset and maximize your money. Listen, today we have such an amazing topic. It's all about your boy Jay-Z. See, last week we had a conversation around Jay-Z and the opinion on if he were guilty. There was this rape allegation that came up. And we had a discussion last week. We had pretty much a mixed panel about the idea of if Jay-Z is guilty or not. And there was some new developments that just came out after that. And so we want to just kind of have this discussion again, and we want to include you. We want to make sure that you are engaged, and we want to include you in the conversation as well. So before we get started in the conversation, I want to invite the most beautifulest, the most amazing, the most loveliest queens, and that ninja Joe today. All right. So first, we have Miss Black Hollywood. She is all things Hollywood. She is an actress. She's a singer. She's a dancer. She's all the things. And she is the producer of this amazing show. Then we have Miss Athena, queen of all things pop culture, and she's also the We Wealth Warrior, y'all. Ow. And then we have Miss Vanessa Gopal. She don't have a AA. She ain't got a bachelor's. She has a master's in public policy. Listen, this lady knows all about the laws, the legalities, and everything else, and she likes to share with all of her friends and family, and you as well. And she's here looking lovely, just as lovely as ever. Hey, girl, hey. Then we got that nigga named Joe. No, I'm just kidding. And then we have Joe, the therapist, Dr. Joe, who always brings a unique perspective. We love him. We love everybody on the show. Listen, y'all, I'm excited about having this conversation today, because we had this amazing engagement last week, and we had you know what, y'all, Tierra, it got really heated. There was a lot of people watching. It got really emotional. People had really, really strong opinions. Yes. I want to just ask you a question. What do you think about what happened last week and where we are today?
Man, let me tell you, I was backstage cussing last week. I was mad. I was cussing at comments. I was cussing at some of our panelists. I was mad. So I felt like if we were going to have this conversation, I wanted to be present. But there was a lot of accusatory language without enough evidence, and I was upset about that. I'm not going to lie. Like, we hadn't heard enough. We had heard hearsay from, real lawyers that got a YouTube page and just fake documents that just the timelines didn't add up. So, I just had an issue with it.
I really want to go last with Athena, but when you said the YouTube lawyers, Athena brought up, hey, I listened. Well, who was that YouTube lawyer that you listened to, Athena, that told you that
she does have an actual practice and law degree now. So don't be saying
that told you that Jay-Z was guilty, that you listened to, that you were so adamant about him.
Listen,
this might be something that's legitimate.
Listen, Dr. Alicia was also on that episode.
We're talking about the people who here today. We talking about you.
You listen, I'm just want my portion of the punishment, okay? Don't be giving me punishment for everybody that was on a different thing. I just want my little piece of the punishment.
Okay, so now what did you and the YouTube lawyer say about his innocence or his guilt?
I plead the fifth.
Oh, now you don't want to talk about it. Oh, you had a lot to say last week. Now you don't want to talk about it. Okay. So Vanessa, what do you think about the accusations last week? Everybody was ready to hang Jay-Z. They was ready to lynch him. They had the pitchforks ready to go. They knew because his association with Diddy, he was guilty. But all of a sudden, things have changed. What's your thoughts around that?
Well, I think this is a prime example of we have to really wait for the details to come out before we accuse and throw our people under the bus. There's been a long history of doing this to Black men, and it really takes away from actual victims who are real victims of rape and assault. So I think that, just because someone accuses you of something doesn't make it true. They got to bring the details and the facts. So I think this is just one of those examples. And we were ready to throw Jay-Z under the bus. I wasn't, because I was like,
I
well, wait,
wasn't.
let me hear the details. Because I know so many stories of Black men being incarcerated wrongfully, that for shit they didn't do. So I think this was going to be the path of one of them. And there wasn't enough details to just basically condemn him.
Yeah. Looks say a whole lot. And when I saw this crooked ass looking ass lawyer and he looked like a slime ball, I was just like, there's nothing to it. Just like, you remember, I'll be back. I'll bring it back. But you remember Eddie Long, right? Remember when he got accused of grooming those little young guys? And I was like, never not Eddie Long. Then he came out with a picture and he had a whole toupee. And when he had the toupee, I was like, he did it. There's a certain look. There's a certain look that people have that you just know when they are guilty. This lawyer was that. That's how I felt about it. What do you think, Dr. Joe?
So I need to see the whole thing. You can't even adjudicate it for me. I gotta see.
That's a big word. What that mean?
Well, when you go through the legal process and it goes all the way through, and the verdict comes in and all that other stuff, that's not even enough for me. If you don't have any factual evidence or proof, then I'm always going to err on the side of I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, and I'm not going to be throwing my opinions out there because, like I said, I've been on that side of the table, and I know what it's like to have people thinking you did something that you didn't do when they don't know nothing about nothing. So
yeah. And I definitely want to touch on that because I know that there are people who are victims, the real life victims, and there are people who have been accused of being predators that were not, that was not the case. And I do want to talk about that in a little bit, but I do want to look at this video, and I want to unpack it for a minute, have a little discussion, because when you just hold on. When we looked at the video last week, they said the girl was 13. She got a ride to the party in a limo that was looking for people, and she fit the description. Then it turns out she has autism, and they thought that this was a good idea to go to the press with this. But let's look at the video of her interview.
Tonight, Jay-Z fighting back against a rape accusation. His attorney filing a letter to the judge to dismiss the rape lawsuit against his client, citing an NBC News exclusive that found inconsistencies with the accuser's story.
You should always advocate for yourself.
It comes after our interview with a 38-year-old mother from Alabama who accuses Sean Diddy Combs and Sean Jay-Z Carter of raping her when she was 13 years old. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough.
She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000. The woman says she spoke to Combs' limo driver, who offered her a ride to an after party. She says at the party, she spoke to musician Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo. It's the Last Supper.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative for the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at that time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter both raped her. She says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. I feel like I would remember that, and I don't, he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said she stands by her statements. I have made some mistakes, she said, in remembering what happened 24 years ago. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me. In a statement to NBC News, Sean Carter said, this incident didn't happen. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. A representative for Combs called the suit a shameless money grab.
Is any part of you scared coming out against such powerful people?
I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside out.
Chloe Malas, NBC.
Okay, so I want to ask you what you think of the video, but why do you think, Athena, that people are so quick to make certain people guilty?
All right, before I fully answer this statement, I want to atone for my original statements earlier in the week about Jay-Z, because I do think that there was some judgment in there. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to advocate for women, because often we are not believed when we say things. And clearly this woman has set us back even further on that mission because of the inconsistencies. But I think a lot of us make judgments. I think it's just the time and era that we are in. I think a lot of us are frustrated and going through issues in our lives, and sometimes it just feels good to villainize people and to see someone go through something to distract us from our personal issues. Honestly, especially on social media, I just feel like it's just a cesspool now, and these celebrity stories provide some kind of release of frustration.
And you fell right into the cesspool.
No, I didn't fall in a cesspool. I am We Wealth Woman. I am an advocate for women. However, I should have not made hasty statements. I still don't know. I want to see how the process ends, and I think that our legal system is.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Daddy can't confirm the statement. The guy she talked to wasn't there. Come on now.
Daddy lived 4 hours away. Come on. Like,
what were you doing at 13 years old at a party by yourself
with autism?
And you talked to the limo driver and he just said, "Come on in." I mean, the math ain't mathing for me.
Like,
with autism
and a severe head injury, I saw also.
We're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna come right back.
Lying ass. Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens. That's Queens. That's Queens to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
Girl, I was back there dying because you ended with lying ass. So your ass is crazy. But I do want to know, what do you think? Why do you think it is that we are so quick to make certain people guilty?
Like Athena said, there's a success. People want to see people fall for some odd reason. I don't know why. I don't know why it feels good, especially on the internet, for people to look and be like, she ain't all that. They ain't all that. They got to be wrapped up with the devil. They couldn't have just worked hard. We have watched documentaries of Beyonce and Jay-Z working hard. We have watched them, accomplish all these things, but still people are like, I know they ain't perfect. That ain't that,
Her breast stink.
Her breast thing. Yeah, I heard that too. Somebody told me that. Somebody anyway. Yes. But yes, like people just want to just tarnish people for some odd reason. But I also want to just add this. Me living in Hollywood, I definitely have a different perspective and working in Hollywood. I know that sometimes the women, if we go back and talk about the Me Too movement, I know there were a lot of victims that came forward, but I also know that there was a lot of women. If we're talking about Bill Cosby, if we're talking about Puff, if we're talking about whoever, there's a group of women who came to Hollywood to be actresses. They came to be performers. They are trained actresses, right? So I know that Athena was saying last week, like, her story is so detailed. I write stories all day, every day. I am a trained writer. I can make up shit, right? And it sounds real. And then I can also play it out. I can go to the police station and be like, Joe hurt me. He hurt me. He touched me. I'm saying like using you because you're there, Joe, but not that you did. I'm saying I could lie on Joe. I know you be catching the stray bullets. I'm sorry. I could lie on Joe and say that he did something to me and produce tears and all of that. Why? Because I am trained and I'm trying to, come up. Like, I'm feeling some type of way because Puff didn't put me on, or Bill Cosby didn't say when he was going to put me on the Cosby Show in the 70s. You don't know what their motive is. They just it's a money grab. So yeah. I think there are some victims, but I think there also are some women who came out here to work and they didn't work. And so now it's like, this is the way. This is what I'm gonna do.
And being at the Cosby Show was in the 80s, we know them bitches was lying, right? So she said the Cosby Show in the 70s. Let me ask you.
You know what I'm talking about. No, touche.
Vanessa, one of the things I seen somebody said on the internet, these white people could work hard and everybody just attributes it to their hard work. Say Elon Musk can work hard and everybody attributes it to their hard work. But you have people like Jay-Z and Beyonce, and when they get a level of success, then it had to be the Illuminati. It had to be the devil. Why do we not give Black people the same benefit that we give to white people? What is it about us that does that?
I think it's just a psychological history that we've been ingrained to think about ourselves like, oh, we don't work hard, we're not doing enough, we couldn't have got it the right way. To what Tiara was saying, I believe that it's just psychologically ingrained in some of us, and we have to unwork that type of thinking and re-educate ourselves. And I think not only do we have to re-educate ourselves, but we have to be honest about when you see a successful Black person to the caliber of Jay-Z, not only did they work hard, they worked 10 times harder. So they worked 10 times harder than an Elon Musk or somebody else because they had to break through so many more barriers. So I think it's just the this ideology of how we've been taught to kind of have this crabs in a barrel mentality, how we've been taught, that there can only be a certain amount of people at the top, there can only be one. And I think we have to really untrain ourselves. And so when we've been taught like that and we look at a situation like this and you look at like, oh, I want to see Jay-Z fall, it becomes easier to assess when the psychological part of it has just been ingrained. So that's my thought on it. But for sure, I think that we need to recognize that people like Jay and Beyonce, they have to work 10 times harder.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, Vanessa. And this is what I want the people in the audience to understand. When a Black person gets their first million and a white person gets their first million, it's going to take a Black person 10 to 20 times harder to get that same $1 million. It's not the same work. It's not the same access. It's not the same opportunities. So when we do reach those levels of success, we should be cheering them on. We should be giving them an attaboy. We should be praising them and hoping that they should be inspiration that we can do the same thing too. That's Instead, right. We have a lot of this where we hope they fall. We pray for their demise. I remember people were, even when I was going through a divorce, people was like, yeah, yep. We was ready to see that. That's how people are. They don't like to see anybody successful in anything. So, that's unfortunate the way we are, but that's just it what it is. For Joe, let me ask you this question. Do you think this was a money grab?
I don't know. I still don't know. You know what I mean?
Like, your opinion?
Yeah.
All the things that this girl does, we know she got autism. We know she lied. What the hell else is this for? Come on now, Joe.
Are you yelling at me, Constance?
I'm yelling at you.
What? I just be minding my damn. I didn't touch Tiara, and now you yelling at me. All the things. Listen.
Don't touch me.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the motive was behind this, because sometimes I've seen it where people, for the actual person, the victim, the so-called victim, the alleged victim, I don't know what the motivation is for that, because sometimes these people get propped up to, to either grab money or just to, take Jay-Z down a couple pegs. We don't know what it was. You know what I mean? I'm not there, but I mean, it was a civil suit, right? So, and you didn't go to the criminal court and file any type of legal action right there, or a criminal investigation. So, I mean, it does look like a money grab, but like I said, until it all works out, we really don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's go through this timeline of false allegations, though, for a lot of Black men. Okay. So in 1906, Ed Johnson, he was a Black man in Tennessee, falsely accused of raping a white woman. Despite no evidence, Johnson was sentenced to death and later lynched. Yeah, this is very common. In 1931, the Scottsboro Boys. This is 9 Black teenagers falsely accused of raping 2 white women in a train in Alabama. Despite overwhelming evidence of innocence, most were convicted, with some spending years in prison. In 1955, Emmett Till, a 14-year-old Black boy lynched in Mississippi after being accused of whistling at a white woman, Carolyn Bryant. Decade later, Bryant admits that she fabricated parts of her story.
On her deathbed.
On her deathbed. Yeah, it wasn't that convenient. In 1966, James Joseph Richardson, a Florida farm worker, wrongfully convicted of poisoning his 7 children, partly due to racial prejudice and unfounded accusations. And it turned out that some white person actually ended up poisoning his kids. In 1989, the Central Park Five, we are going to call them the exonerated five, were 5 Black and Latino teens that were falsely accused of raping a white woman in Central Park. They spent years in prison before the DNA evidence and the confession by the actual perpetrator proved their innocence. It is so funny because before we got on here, Tierra mentioned that Donald Trump, who paid all this money to try to get them the death penalty, Donald Trump ended up being a convicted sexual abuser himself. Mm-hmm. The irony. But for a white man that's able to run for and win the presidency of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Those examples is why I can't say it's a money. Look at all those examples that you just laid out.
I got more.
It could be more to it than a money grab, man. Sometimes it's just about taking the black man down a couple pegs, man.
That might be it. 1994, Brian Banks, a 16-year-old football player, falsely accused of rape by a classmate, Juanetta Gibson. Banks served over 5 years in prison before Gibson admitted she fabricated the accusation. In 2006, the Duke lacrosse case, a Black exotic dancer falsely accused members of Duke University, a lacrosse team, of rape. Years later, the accuser, Crystal Magnum, admitted to fabricating the story. I'm not sure, because
I think we have that video.
She could have been threatened. She could have been threatened to recant her story. You know what I'm saying? The powers that be. I still don't trust white.
She's in jail for murder. That girl is.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
okay.
And don't we have the video?
Okay,
do we have that video?
Do we got the video
of her saying like she hoped that they can forgive her because she lied? Do we have that, Gwen?
Maybe she was framed for murder.
Why are these people lying?
In 2009.
No.
Ricky Jackson, a Black Ohio man, falsely imprisoned for 39 years after being wrongfully convicted of murder based on a fabricated story. Though not a rape case, it underscores systemic bias against Black men. 2012, Jonathan Montgomery, falsely accused by a white woman of sexually assaulting her years earlier in Virginia. He served over 4 years before she admitted lying under oath. In 2015, Corey Parker, a South Carolina man, falsely accused of sexual assault by a white woman and later admitted she fabricated the allegations. In 2023, Darius Simmons, a college athlete, falsely accused of rape by a fellow student. Surveillance footage and digital evidence later cleared him of wrongdoing. And then in 2024, the Duke case accuser admits she lies. Crystal Magnum, the accuser in the Duke lacrosse case, publicly admitted that she lied and sought forgiveness. That's crazy. Let's talk more about that when we come back from a commercial.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says? Check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
Now, think about this. All these Black men who over the course of this country have been accused of all these heinous things. A lot of times, a lot of Black men have been given the death penalty for crimes that they didn't commit. This is very common. And so it really disheartens me to see us be so quick to jump on the bandwagon when Black men are being accused of such heinous crimes. We are so quick to do this. But let me ask you, Joe, how do cases like this, where the woman recently lying about the Duke players, how does that affect credibility of Black women when there are cases of sexual assault?
It weakens it, right? Because all it takes is one person throwing this type of stuff into the pool of victims. Look, there's a ton of victims in this world that don't report, that don't come forward, and it's because of stuff like this, because they're going to get looped in with the people that come forth and then recant and do and they're basically lying, and it's all messed up. It's all messed up. It's not an opportunity for these women to elevate themselves. Or, it's an opportunity they take to elevate themselves or to go grab money. And all the meantime that the people that are actually been victims of this stuff they're staying quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what does it do, to your point, Athena, to people who really are victims?
It just makes the system so much more complicated. So, on either side, people are going to slip through the cracks. Like, people are going to be wrongfully adjudicated, the word of the day, given to us by
Listen,
Joe.
y'all using these SAT words. You got to use words for primary level
Listen,
education.
wrongfully
PhD,
prosecuted,
diplomas.
and then people who don't get the justice that they deserve, right? So I think it is hard to prove a case such as like a sexual assault or any those type of cases, because unless you were really there, do you really know one with 100% certainty that these things took place? Like, the evidence has to be almost insurmountable, because what is the standard, right? Beyond a reasonable doubt, and there's a lot of doubts in these cases.
Seriously, Tiara, how does race play a role in how this is carried out? How sexual assault accusers or accusees are viewed in society?
I mean, let's just look at I can't think of his name right now, from Nickelodeon. That was that it went through the process of, he's still not in jail right now, and he's been accused of sleeping with a lot of those Nickelodeon children.
Y'all remember that? They have a whole Netflix special on it, and he's still out free.
He's still out free, living his life, still getting opportunities. I just think the way Black men are handled is very different from the way white men are handled. And I'm not really, obviously, you haven't said the golden phrase today, white supremacy, right? You haven't said that today, Constance. I'm so surprised. But I think that there's such a conditioning for Black people. I don't think it's necessarily always our fault that we're conditioned to think and hate one another. I think that, we look at the Willie Lynch letter, and whether it was real or not, it's pretty real, right? We were turned against each other. Our brothers are killing each other in the street, because we just look at each other and we don't see community anymore. We just see like an enemy, unfortunately. So I just think that race plays a part, because we've been conditioned to hate ourselves and hate our race and hate and not be just to think like, oh yeah, I mean, he's probably guilty because he's Black. It's not, I don't even know if it's something people say. It's just what we think without even well, not what I think, but it's what people think. They automatically assume there's guilt.
Right. Vanessa, what should happen to people like her who falsely accuse?
Ass go to jail.
I think, yeah, I think that if you falsely accuse someone, and I think that you should have to pay restitution, and a high restitution, for wasting everybody's time, including public dollars, and the people who have to investigate. I think it should be a very large penalty that you have to pay. And I think that you should be up to serve time. I think that and especially if you accuse someone of rape and they go to prison for rape, and it is it's a false accusation, I think that you should have to serve that same time automatically. Like, there is no trial, there is no nothing. You just automatically serve that same sentence minimum. I think that we have to be very careful, and coming from a woman, we have to be very careful about making sure that the victims that are actually being raped have serious have serious chances of having a conviction and their victory being brought to justice, versus people making up stuff for money in situations like this. Because this girl sounds, I mean, she sounds freaking crazy. Like, when you just listen, it just doesn't make any sense. When I heard it, I'm just like, that it just does not make any
Makes
sense.
sense.
When your own damn daddy is coming out like, oh no, I don't remember that. Like, I feel like the accusation, I feel like off top she should be paying restitution. I feel like lawyers need to be held accountable, because what
Yes.
happens in our current judicial system is the way that the law is written, it protects them from a lot of these frivolous lawsuits. And I feel like if you are bringing a frivolous lawsuit and it's bullshit, then your license should be up in front of the board. Because it's not fair. Because sometimes lawyers can get in front of people and they're so great, like Tiara was saying, they're great storytellers. They can get in front of people and be like, okay, well, listen, well, did you feel this, or how was this? And they can create these stories. And next thing you know, because it's them wanting the money grab. They're taking 30, 40% of the bag. So they have every incentive to create a narrative in which they think they're going to get paid. So I think that, two people should be accountable.
That makes sense. And I really want to break this down for y'all. This girl was 13 years old with autism. This is who comes into you're a lawyer and a girl
and a brain injury.
Right. 30 years later, 30 years later, or 20 years later, somebody comes into your law office, a girl who has autism. She doesn't speak very well. I imagine her with a hump on her back or a limp or something. I don't know. A little delayed mentally, right? And she says, I was raped by Jay-Z at a Diddy party. I was at what the awards, what was it? Was the BT Awards, MTV Awards? MTV Awards. I was there. I lived 4 hours away, but I was there, and his limo driver picked me up and said, you're what Diddy's looking for. This little white, slow girl with autism. You're exactly what Diddy's looking for, and you would be great at his party. Come on, get in the car. So she gets in the car, and she sees some white rock stars who they could have picked up the phone and asked him if they were there. That was an easy verification, right? He was there. I asked him about his tattoo that she clearly seen on the internet. And then Jay-Z held me down. I got drugged, and I woke up and naked, right? She woke up naked or something? Yeah. So as the attorney, make that right? Make that make sense.
Well,
right?
Constance, we also have to realize that this same attorney has brought charges against Chris Brown. There's a long list of celebrities that he has brought these type of cases against. And so I think he's thirsty for that first like, I don't know if he's like in the middle of trying to transition from personal injury lawyer to to this celebrity. I don't know, like what he's trying to do. Excuse me.
He should be disbarred. Like, I feel like that's the level of when you start bringing things that can affect people's lives on that nature. It's not even like I'm just suing you because I fell, you slipped and fall on a property. You're literally trying to take down someone's entire life that they've built for decades of work, I mean, it's bullshit. You should be brought to the board and disbarred because, like you said, Constance, how did you get to the party? I mean, as an attorney, like you said, okay, well, let me call and verify the information of you talking to the rock stars. If anything doesn't add up, oh, I can't take this case.
Throw it out.
But
he's thirsty.
It makes you feel like a sitting duck because listening to what Vanessa's saying, the difficulty of trying to prove that you didn't do something, right? I don't have video of me not doing this. I don't have, any evidence of me not doing this. So it's really the difficulty of trying to prove that these accusations are false. It's really intense. So all you walk away with most times is a not guilty verdict, meaning we couldn't prove that you did this. So you have that attached to you for the remainder of your life.
Your character.
Yeah, we attached to your character for the remainder of your life. We can't prove that you didn't do this. That's all you get. That's all you get, and go home. You don't get made whole. You don't get restitution. You know what I mean? You don't get any of these things. And most of all, you don't get the time back. You don't get the time back. So, there's all that sounds good, but dragging somebody in. So, because people always ask me, "Why are you going to sue the girl? You going to sue the girl?" How do I prove that I didn't do that? I mean, how do I prove this?
And that's what I do want to talk about, Joe. And I appreciate you sharing last week about your situation, being on that side of it, right? Because when you talk about, being a victim of sexual assault, it's easy to put a jacket on somebody, that kind of jacket on a sexual assault jacket. It's hard to take off no matter what happens. Like, you're still going to be that guy in some people's eyes that did this crime, no matter what. It's up to you to prove your innocence. So for you, what was that process like? And if you can go a little bit into it, just from that perspective, what happened with you? Whatever you can share.
Okay, so to prove your innocence, I went through 2 trials of this, okay? Because the first one was a hung jury, right? And So that means that they couldn't agree on whether or not I was guilty or innocent. And it's not like you don't get to go home and wait for that verdict. So for 4 or 5 days, I sat in the hallway of the courthouse while they try to determine whether or not I was going to go to prison for 60 plus years. Okay. And you just sit in the hallway for 8 hours a day until they come out and say the jury couldn't figure it out. They're going home for the day. You come back tomorrow. And then, and then they can't decide. So there's nobody that says there's nothing in the evidence that says you did this, and there's nothing that says you absolutely didn't do this. That's all it is. It's all opinion. You sitting there and you're being prosecuted over someone's opinion. And listening to another thing Vanessa said about how the attorneys know that they bring in frivolous charges to you. So this is a prosecutor, right? This is not anybody that's looking for it. This is not a civil suit. It's not anybody. This is a prosecutor who looked at this, saw that, we might be able to convict, because I was told right before all this popped off that the county that I was being prosecuted in is a Trump county. So I maybe should take a plea deal just because I was a black man.
So I remember you mentioned you had to pay over $500,000 in court fees, in attorney fees.
Well, that's not all court. It's not all court fees. I've had to pay a lot of money in court fees, but at the time, like I was a teacher, I was an educator, but I had just finished my first master's and was getting ready to elevate. I was interviewing for principal positions, so I was getting ready to elevate to a different income bracket. So when this happens, I'm not able to work. So I'm not able to do the thing that I'm good at, first of all. Second of all, I'm not able to do anything, outside of like driving trucks or working the night shift at a gas station or hotel because the accusations show up on my background check.
Wow. The accusations, not the conviction.
No convictions. Immediately shows up on your background check. So like I remember specifically, I was like, well, I'll just try to do Uber Eats or something like that just to try to keep my head above water. And I got denied.
That's bullshit.
From Uber Eats?
For Uber Eats because of these charges were on my my criminal background check.
Were you able to get it expunged?
I got everything expunged, but I had to pay for that.
Yeah. For a frivolous lawsuit.
I had to pay for that. I had to pay for.
You got to pay to defend yourself from accusations that are not true.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yes.
What was the makeup of the jury?
The first one was all white, 10 white women, 2 white men. And that's the one that got hung. Okay. And basically, from my understanding, that those 2 white men saved my life. So if I ever run into them dudes, I'm definitely going to get them some hugs. But the second jury, the one that took 5 minutes, I told you I waited in the hallway for days the first time. The second time, I didn't even make it down the stairs. Now, both times, the first trial went better than the second one. It was very, very, this couldn't have went better. Like, it was very obvious that I hadn't done this, So I'm sitting there looking relaxed after first of all, it took 5 years to adjudicate. Okay. So that's 5 years of anxiety, me trying to, basically find reasons to live.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm trying to find reasons to live because my entire identity has been stripped away. The people that you used to admire and love me and, be grateful for what I was doing for their children, they're not talking to me now.
You're a pariah.
Yeah. These people have turned their backs on me. They've walked away. They're not available to me. You know what I mean? Members of my own family are turning their backs on me. There's members of my own family I still don't speak to because of this. Okay. So 5 years of anxiety, count that in. And then, then 4 days in the hallway the first time. The second time, 5 minutes. It was so obvious, right? It was so obvious. I didn't even get to the bottom of the stairs before. And this makeup of the second jury, to answer your question, all people of color. There was not a single white person on the jury. And they got very, very fortunate.
Now, how do you think those white people were looking at you?
Listen, this is the part I always tell people that's crazy to me. Before you even have the trial, you got to go through the jury selection process, right? So there's 60 people in the room and they're eliminating and narrowing it down to 12. and they can't say in the jury selection process, they can't say anything about the details of the case. So it's all very general statements based around the charges. So I got these 5 counts of sexual assault of a minor on me. So what they're doing is they're basically, giving general statements. And I've said that one time, the prosecutor, both times during the jury selection, his little presentations included pictures of Bill Cosby. You know what I mean? Saying, hey, if this guy can do it, you're gonna hear a lot of good stuff about this man, basically. But remember, we heard a lot of good stuff about this man too.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's so awful.
Yeah. Hey, and then remember he had the characters all wrong. Hey, I love Theo too. I used to watch it. I'm like, man, Theo was the son. You know what I mean? You're not even paying attention to what's going on. But I think Remy Ma say, like, they don't care about wrong and right in these situations. They only care about getting their convictions. I'm honestly, as irritating as the prosecutor was, I think very much into the case, he started to realize that, I'm fighting a losing battle, but he had a job to do. His job was to get a conviction. And the second time, mind you, that was in trial, the judge made it his job much easier. She basically ruled out anybody to get on the stand and say anything positive about me, like she allowed it in the first trial. But in the second trial, she was like, it has nothing to do with the case. We're not going to have people getting up here talking about your character or what you did for their kids or their daughters or none of that. So we're going to eliminate all of that. And they really try to go for a conviction, man. That's really what it is.
Wow. I want to talk about how that affected your family afterwards, because this is something that we really got to think about when we are believing and we're convicting people publicly, before convicting them of being guilty before it's determined. So anyway, we're going to go to a commercial. We'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
First of all, I want to thank you for sharing that, Joe. That has to be, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Mm-hmm. That has to be the worst thing, one of the worst things that you can go through outside of losing somebody that you really, really love, right? But it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone around you. It affects your spouse. It affects your children. It affects your extended family. It affects your relationships with your friends. How did that affect you?
So let me say first that, the town that I lived in was a one high school town in Texas, and
was she white?
Huh?
Was she white?
No. No. One high school town in Texas, and it's not a big town, and I'm a very popular figure in this town because I have a youth organization, for one, outside of the schools, and in the schools I'm a teacher. I teach in this town, so a lot of the kids, it's 2 middle schools, 1 high school. Half the kids in the town know who I am. All right. My son is in high school at the time, my oldest son, with the girl that's making these accusations, and so he's going to school and seeing her every day. I don't know how that affected him. You'd have to ask him, but you can imagine. My younger son took it very, very hard, because at the time, I was his basketball coach and all the things. And I obviously can't coach his basketball team anymore. They brought a sub in. He hasn't played basketball since. This is about 5 years ago. So he quit that altogether. He hasn't been back to school. So we immediately homeschooled him. He took it very, very hard. And he's very, very sensitive about his father, for sure. And that's all I'll say about that. My wife, I mean, we moved out of the town. I mean, man, it was tough. It was tough on her. Like, she had to live with this accusation herself. And all the people saying the things that they're saying about me, they're obviously going to say about her as well. Why is she leaving and all these other things. And it was, it was very, very difficult. We had to move up out of that town, move to a different situation. And, she's basically going to work every day, dealing with this stuff at home while keeping her personal life very, very private, all the way up. And this, like I said, it was a 5-year ordeal. This wasn't something that they kept pushing it back. It started before COVID, then COVID hit. And then, it's like every time we go getting ready to set trial, it's like we find another reason to put it back. I had to wear an ankle brace, the ankle monitor, for a year, and I had to pay $400 a month to wear the ankle brace. I had to have a special hearing to make sure, because I lived across the street from a park. I had a special hearing to make sure I could go home, because I had to be within a certain amount of feet from a park, and I had to get special permission to be around my own children. And it was a lot. Yeah, and like I said, $400 a month to wear the ankle brace to make sure that I wasn't running up in schools and churches and parks, harming kids.
You can't get that back. There's nothing you can do to get that back.
Money, and I can't earn money, right? So the whole time, I think about what this is doing to my masculinity. My wife is basically carrying us, because my income is cut, it's shot, it's done, and she's however she's dealing with it. She's never once said, damn, I'm carrying you, or none of these other things. But in my mind, I'm like watching her carry her whole family, and it just started. That stuff starts to weigh on you, and you start wanting to die.
Yeah. Oof. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Vanessa, what do we say to people like that? Because it happens so often throughout this country. It's happened to, throughout the history of this country. What do we say to people like that who've lost everything?
Thank you for sharing that, Joe. That was deep. That was deep. That was deep. I mean, what can we say? I mean, that we need to change. The system is not meant to. The system is supposed to be set up as innocent until guilty, but when it comes to Black men, it's guilty until proven innocent. And so I think the least that we can do as Black people is not just instantly throw our Black men under the bus when some random person comes down and says, "You did this." I think that it's extremely important to support them and get behind them, because we have to understand that these DAs, these prosecutors, they have political agendas. It has nothing to do, like Joe was saying, with what's wrong or what's right. They have conviction rates that they need to meet. They have goals that they need to meet, and they don't really give a damn about whether it's ethical or not ethical. So I think the least that we can do as a community is get behind our people and say, for decades, they've been portraying Black men as aggressive, as sexual deviants, as rapists. When you look at films, it was always like, oh, the Black man coming to grab a white woman, or he's gonna sneak in the house and kidnap you. I mean, these are ingrained in systematically in white America. And so these are when our Black men go in the courts, they already have a certain look from a historical context placed upon them. So I think it's important for us to say, yeah, we want to make sure that we're supporting women, and that women that really come out and have real rape accusations are taken seriously. But we also have to come out and call bullshit when it's bullshit, and we have to support our Black men and not just look at them like, oh, well, if someone says they did something, they did something. Because these women, the prosecutors, they all have ulterior motives. Like, it doesn't make it true just because you say it. So I mean, I think that's the smallest thing we could do as a community. Is just we can't also be the prosecutor.
That part.
So
That part. Mhm.
yeah, the smallest thing we could do.
The smallest thing is we can't also be the prosecutor. I love that. And when you think about victims of sexual assault, they're often shielded, right? They're often shielded from their identity. They're the Jane Does, but then the accusees, they're put out there in the media. Athena, what do we say to people like Joe, who's lost everything falsely because someone said something and it turned out to be a lie? What do we say to somebody like that?
I mean, what can you say? I mean, all of us heard Joe recant his story and what he went through, and we barely have anything to say. How can you, and not even just wrongfully accused, wrongly convicted, sentenced to death, all these things that happen in our justice system in Scamerica, and take away people's lives and impact on not only for someone like Joe, his family, or even society, because I'm sure that impacted the contributions he was making in his community, and the people who could have benefited from the contributions he could have made during those 5 years, right? So I don't think there's much to say. I just feel like there needs to be some kind of reform. Obviously, our justice system is not really aligned or designed to really promote justice. It's more promoting certain agendas and who can afford the agenda.
It's all about who can afford it.
And it always comes back to dollars and cents. And even in this Jay-Z situation, and we were touching on that, how much of that is really this woman felt so wrong? Because in his statement, he said, if you really feel like this, why not do a criminal charge versus a civil charge?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It just seemed like the motive for money. And that's something that we have to look at, living in such a capitalistic society, that at the core of everything, it always comes back to dollars and cents. And if that is our core value as Americans, we need to reassess, okay, what is the price that we are paying to really fatten up the bottom line? It's causing us issues with the quality of our food, our health, school systems, everything, because we are all chasing the almighty dollar, right?
Amen. Yeah.
Let me explain the effect too that you brought up, Constance, because I happened to run into one of my former students last week. I was playing basketball, and he was like, "Man, you like a teacher I used to have." And I said, "Yeah, man. I mean, I told him what I recognized him, and he was like, "Damn, Mr. Corley, yeah, we missed you, man. Like they just took you out of the classroom in the middle of the year with no explanation, And as humbly as I can put this, like I was a lot of people's favorite teacher, and I just disappeared." So it goes beyond even my family. Like, there's a bunch of kids,
Community. Yeah.
their favorite teacher just lost,
whose lives were impacted.
no idea.
The number that did on your sons, though. Whew, I'm sorry.
Well, let me one more thing for you, because I forgot about this part when they raided my home, right? So yeah, they raided my home to and they had put guns in my kid's face. They had them standing outside in their drawers while they went through our home, taking all of the devices and whatnot. And so yeah, it's a and that part right there has had a long-term effect on my wife. The fact that they did our kids like that.
How old were the kids at the time?
One was in maybe 10, 10 or 11, and the other one was 15, 16.
That's despicable.
Mm.
Tiara, you his day one. You've been there. How were you able to support him?
Yeah, I actually was in Texas around this time, and I remember us getting together. And I always have my lens is always going to be a little bit of optimism. If you know me, I'm like, well, wait a minute. But I remember us getting together and him telling me the story, and I don't think I could fully grasp what he was saying. I was like, he was like, I can't do nothing. I can't do anything. I can't earn. I can't. I was like, well, there got to be a way. We got to start a business. You know me. I said, let's write a book. Let's, I just started throwing out ideas. But, at the time, I just remember thinking, like, this testimony is really going to change a lot of lives. Like, God, unfortunately, had chose Joe to go through this. And we don't know why. We don't know why he had to deal with that. But I think that it's going to change, depending on how he handles it. And once his book drops and all the things, like, I feel like it's going to change lives. And hopefully we can get to a place where we can change policy based on this.
Yeah, amen. You know, Black men make up only 6% of the US population, but they comprise of nearly 50% of the exonerees in cases involving sexual assault or misconduct.
Hmm.
Black men are accused at an alarming rate, more than anybody else. Studies show that 2 to 10% of sexual assault accusations are found to be false. Although this is a small percentage, it also can have a devastating consequence for the accused, particularly for Black men, due to racial bias. Mm. So, with that being said, and Joel, we appreciate you sharing your story because it put a face, like a real life face, to what this does when people are falsely accused of these types of heinous crimes. And it should make us stop and think twice before we jump on that bandwagon and just automatically say that people are guilty. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's not be so wrapped up in wanting to see people fail and fall and fall off and all and their lives ruined to make ourselves feel better at the cost of their lives, their family's life. Because it's not just that person. It's not just Jay-Z. It's Beyonce. I don't care about Beyonce because she got everything. It's their kids. It's Blue Ivy and Sir and the other one. It's all of it. So it affects more than just that person. And anyway, let me get off my soapbox. Let's go to our final thoughts. I'm going to start with you, Vanessa.
This was heavy. So, first of all, man, shout out to your wife, Joe. Like, shout out to your wife. Round of applause for just being a phenomenal, dope woman and holding your family down. That's amazing. I just want us to be open minded when we hear things like this, especially about our Black men, and understand that the system has been strategically designed for Black men to easily be accused and convicted of things that they did not do in the first place. So I want us to be aware of when we start being the prosecutor of Black men and not looking at all the evidence and the facts and waiting until we actually see the full picture before we start wishing our Black men have a downfall. So, that's my last take. Is just be open minded, less accusatory, and hear the full scope of everything before you start, tackling someone and prosecuting someone and hoping for their downfall.
Yo, these people are humans just like the rest of us. Jay-Z is a human just like the rest of us.
Mhm.
Athena, final thought, please. And where can they find you? Wait, did you tell us where they can find you, Vanessa?
I did not. So you can find me on Instagram at Vigo Paul. My link tree is there. I run a construction company. If you're in the LA area, we are doing ADUs right now at a great rate. So hit me up. I do a multitude of things. So yeah, click that link tree. Reach out to me. It's at Vigo Paul, VGOPAUL.
Thank you, Miss Athena.
I mean, wow. Like a lot was said, and thankful for Joe that he was proven innocent, but a lot of us will not get that grace. And a lot of us do not get that grace as Black people in this country. I think that, Joe's story is a great lesson for us all, myself included, on, the impact this can have on people's lives. And what we should learn moving forward is not be so quick to judge, but also be aware that the justice system here is particularly skewed and biased against us as Black people, and we need to be united as one. My name is Athena Gardner. I'm a CPA and wealth coach for women. Everything you can find out about me, if you're interested, my social media, my podcast, and all my offerings, you can find at elevatewithathena.com.
Hey, Miss Black Hollywood, give us your final thoughts.
My mind is all over the place, right? I just think about the time when we, Joe and I went to lunch and we kind of got together and talked about business ideas. And he was struggling. And I don't think I understood, again, like I said, the magnitude to which he was struggling. I know that I just kept saying, we'll figure it out. Like, this is wrong. They're wrong. It's not true, and I had this like naivete like that, that justice would prevail no matter what. But in those situations, that's not always what happens. That's not how life goes. Some people do sit in jail. I realize that people do sit in jail for shit that they don't do. And as unfortunate as that is, it's like I even think about my own uncle who's been in jail for murder. The Innocence Project has picked his case up. The judge said, I'm going to make sure that you stay here, even though I know you didn't do it, kind of thing. And it wasn't until that judge died like 30 years ago. I mean, 30 years later, my uncle has been in jail for like 33, 34 years, stripped his whole life, and so I have another heart for people that are wrongly accused. I know it happens. And so like I said before, I know that Joe is going to take this story and it is going to be a testimony, and it's going to take him to places like God is going to restore that time that he missed. I mean, I know he feels some type of way a lot of the time because he feels like I lost that 5 years, but I feel like God is going to restore that. If you are interested in working with me, obviously I am a producer, I'm an entrepreneur, I do all of the things creative. Listen, if you are interested, I also, if you're interested in working with me, go ahead and reach out to me at info@realvirtual.net, which is our email. But also, I just want to tell everyone that Fly Nubian Money Club is we are out here, and we had an amazing training last Saturday. I have another one set up for in 2 weeks. And we are going to teach you how to be certified for all of the things, every part of your business. We are going to teach you how to be certified and get the money, right? So go to flynubianmoneyclub.com and sign up right now. We have a free 30-day trial. Let me prove to you that I can elevate you.
Let's
So
go.
come on over.
Let's go. Let me prove to you that I can elevate you, boy.
Bow.
Love it. All right, Joe. I'll let you round it on up.
Okay, listen. I just looked at the calendar, and I didn't realize that today was the day it was. So this all started for me on December 18th of 2018. It was the middle of the school year, and I was going to work like any other day, and that was the last day that I set foot in the classroom, and I have not. And when I walked in, when I walked out that day, I thought it was going to be over with before the end of the school year, and I was going to be able to finish the year as a teacher. And like I said, that was 6 years ago, and I haven't been in the classroom since. I never set foot in a school again. And I will tell you that all the things running through my mind right now. I just want people to understand that you don't take these type of things seriously. I wasn't taking it seriously, and I was in it. And then you realize exactly what this legal system is and what it's designed to do. And it's not about right and wrong. So when you enter to that legal system, don't think that that fairness exists. Okay, fairness does not exist, and they do not care what's right and what's wrong. They only care about one thing, and that's getting convictions. If and I don't want to talk about all prosecutors like them. There might be one out there that's actually compassionate and looks at facts, and they might be somebody, but I didn't run into that person. And I went through this thing, and through this, I almost broke down, I almost died, but none of those things happened. As I told you in the beginning, I had just finished one master's, and through the course of this, because I didn't know how long it was going to take, I started another one, thinking that I would be able to graduate and start seeing clients, as soon as possible. So I had the time to finish another master's, right, and then still had to wait a little bit of time before I could actually, do that thing. Now the day came. Well, I finally got that not guilty. And it hasn't been that long ago. I want to put this in context for y'all. I don't want y'all to think that this was a long, long time ago. It's barely been 2 years. It's barely been a year and a half since, I've been able to rebuild this whole thing. And here I am just this small amount of time later with my own business, and doing the things that I love to do and living a life, purposefully. And I say that because, I probably wouldn't have been happy. The classroom was too small for me. The school was too small for me. And God did what he had to do to move me from that thing and build me to the man I am today. And I want everybody to be encouraged that life sometimes doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, right? So all these things happen for me, and I'm here today because of the things that happened for me. Now, it's still challenging. Don't get me wrong. I'm still trying to build. I'm still trying to get back what I lost. There's a lot of bills that are coming due that I owe, but I'm here to do it. Okay, I'm here to do it. So whatever you're going through, try to look at, the opportunity you have. Try to look at it as an opportunity to either make your situation better or make somebody else's situation better. And you can find me, Joe Corley, on all platforms. Just type my name and I will appear. And if you're looking for therapy or looking for someone to counsel you through whatever you're going through, hit me up at realtheletterinconsulting.com and set up a free consultation so we can talk about it. God bless y'all for listening. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was deep. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for sharing. That was tough. Black people, I just implore you. I want to encourage you. Please, I beg of you, look out for us. Nobody is going to look out for us except for us. Nobody is going to give us the benefit of the doubt. It is important. It is imperative that we do this. We have to stop throwing our people under the bus. We have to stop subscribing to that white supremacist ideal, those white supremacist ideals that make our Black men monsters, predators. We think that because it's been ingrained. That's not the history of who we are. We didn't come and pillage and rape people. We weren't the ones committing genocide. That we didn't enslave anybody. We haven't oppressed anybody. But yet they have been successful at making us think that our Black men are predators. Nobody is going to look at us in a positive way unless we start doing it first. Stop being brainwashed by this white supremacist system that looks at our people as if we're monsters. That's what I want to say. And I'm so glad that Joe said that it didn't happen to him, it happened for him, because the book is coming, because the podcast is here, because he's able to reach so many more people as a result of what he's went through. This is a true testament that his hardship is going to be the blueprint to help somebody else.
That's right.
That's been dealing with the same thing that he had to go through. He was victorious for a reason. God saw fit that he was strong enough. He said he wanted to die, y'all. He said he wanted to die, but he was strong enough to live. So he has a testimony, but he has something that's going to be able to help transform other people's lives.
That's right.
So we appreciate you sharing your story. We appreciate you for, giving us that, because hopefully y'all share this with everybody. Somebody needs to hear this testimony and understand that these sensational headlines, these are people's real lives.
Yes.
Stop jumping on a bandwagon to accuse people because you want to see people fall. This could easily be you.
Yes.
So thank you, Joe. And thank you, ladies. Y'all always bring it. Y'all bring it 5 days a week. And I enjoy dialoguing with the queens and the one king, even though I can't stand him half the time. I'm gonna give him a pass because he was so good and so passionate and transparent today. And I appreciate you, Ninja. I really do. I really appreciate you. So listen, if you want to go get notified every time we go live, please make sure you remember that she's right here, y'all. She's right here. Please. If y'all want to see me again, text the word Queens to 87948. Please text the word QUEENS to 87948. And if you want to know how to grow your money and not blow your money, go to FlyNubianMoney.com. There we go, Gwen. You a little slow on the draw today. Fly Nubian Money. That's supposed to be out there when I'm saying it.
That was actually me.
Yes. You slow on the draw, sis. Come on. Fly.
I do it all.
FlyNubianMoney.com to learn more. And guess what? She just said they got the Fly Nubian Money Club. What y'all doing on the Fly Nubian Money Club? Y'all getting people certified on some shit, right? You teaching them how to grow their money. So if you want to get more information on the Fly Nubian Club, go to FlyNubianClub.com. And guess what else? We is on Spotify. So do we got that one too? We're on Spotify. So if you want to hear us and you're unable to see us, go to Spotify and make sure you search for Fly Nubian Money on Spotify. We're here 5 days a week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We love when you talk back to us and talk black to us. We absolutely love it. Today was a heavy topic, and we really have to be careful, y'all. Black people, we got to stick together. We are all we got. And if we really want to grow as a community, we got to look to each other first before we look outside like everybody else do. Everybody look to them. Asians don't look to y'all. They look to Asians. Jews don't look to y'all. They look to Jews. White people, they definitely ain't looking to y'all. They looking to white people. Black people, let's stick together. Let's look to each other first. Lift each other and elevate each other. Okay. So we appreciate you being here. Thank you, Queens. I love y'all for real. I do.
Yes.
We will see you tomorrow. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.